Welcome to Back to the Father, a show about the journey of life focused on our final end, which is God Himself, our loving Father. And now, here's your host, Dave Palmer.
And welcome, everybody, to this edition of Back to the Father here on the Guadalupe Radio Network. We are broadcasting on all of our social media platforms today on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, and we're glad you're with us. If you are on one of those, of course, if you hear me, then you are. Welcome, and we want you to participate with us and let us know what's on your mind. It is May 14th, 2021. We are in the Friday of the 6th week of Easter, which means that Easter is just about over. I think next Sunday, Pentecost, it's going to be over completely. It's also today the feast day of St. Matthias. And so, St. Matthias, pray for us. Let me introduce you to the crew here. Several of us bedecked in hats. Sissel Anderson is our key student and the kind of co-host kind of person. How you doing, Sissel? Good to see you.
Doing well. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, welcome back to another Back to the Father.
I'm glad I was welcome back. Haven't failed the class yet. Hope that doesn't happen anytime soon.
No, it's highly unlikely that's going to happen. But we're glad you're with us. And I kind of wear the hat at the beginning, and then I find it a little bit distracting, so I take it off. But I'm kind of working my way into. Yeah, that's last week it was the funeral hat, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
And that's more of kind of the top hat, classy. Think of it like the 1920s kind of thing, right?
Kind of gangster.
Yeah, Capone.
I
kind of a death theme going on here.
Okay, I did not mean that to be the case. I feel like I'm going to do a jazz number, add some jazz.
Yeah. Go to the speakeasy?
Yes.
Right?
That's what
Okay.
it is.
All right. Well, welcome. Glad you're with us. And all right, Diane Xavier is here as well. I don't think she's on camera, but you just have to use your imagination.
To be here. Yes.
Yeah. Just imagine a wonderful, beautiful woman behind the glass there, and that's Diane Xavier. And so good to have you, Diane. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And Jonathan von Weber-Hansberg is running our social media platforms. And again, you can find us on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. And we hope many people will join us. And make sure you comment. That kind of is what drives this. Last week, we had a few surprise people show up, like our friend Buddy.
Yes.
Who told me during the week that he was excited about the
he's
program.
already here.
Oh, he's here. All right.
Here.
So, Buddy, he emailed me and had a good question. And so, so Jonathan, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right. And we had some exciting news that I found out about Jonathan right before the show started. I didn't even share it with Sissel or Diane yet. And, Jonathan's a young guy. He's a high school guy, still trying to figure out his future. But one of the things we mentioned, I think on our first broadcast when Jonathan was here with us, is that he's discerning, like any young man or young woman should be, to discerning whether marriage or religious life or for a male, the priesthood. And he said he was discerning the priesthood as a possibility, right?
Yeah.
But he had some additional news that he wanted to tell me about today. Do you want to share that, Jonathan?
Yes, I'm actually thinking about becoming a Dominican.
Wow. Isn't that cool?
Mind blown.
But there's another twist, though, right? Having to do with your family, or is that
yes.
Is that too much information?
No,
or,
that's fine.
Can you share that with us as well?
So,
I don't want to start any family feuds here.
Just like Thomas Aquinas, my dad doesn't want me to become a Dominican. He wants me to become a Benedictine.
Okay. All right. Any reason for that? Or
He just likes
Family
them
drama.
yeah, is he going to put you up in a tower for 18 months?
Yeah, he might. You never know. We'll have to
all
see,
right.
I guess.
That's what happened with Aquinas.
So are you planning to go do a come and see sort of thing? A retreat? I don't know.
Whenever I can, when I'm 18.
Cool. Awesome. Well,
Did you know that the diocese both dioceses in Fort Worth, they're gonna host the VAP weekend, the Vocation Discernment Weekend?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
Now, is that for somebody like Jonathan who's maybe not going to do diocesan, but maybe an order?
Discerning. It's for high
okay?
school and college-aged men and women interested in that religious life or the priesthood.
And we're probably running a PSA for that?
Yes, we are.
Diane knows all the events that are going on.
It's taking place in June.
Isn't that actually run by a Dominican? Because it's at UD, right?
Yeah,
cool.
I think so. So why the Dominicans?
I just really like the idea of studying my whole life. And also they have a good devotion to St. Aquinas, of course. So,
I would say, yeah.
One of the greatest saints.
Yeah, there's a Dominican thing going through the GRN. Emily was in the Dominican convent. Adrian was in Dominican seminary. And by the way, Emily's last day on the air was this morning. And so Godspeed to her as she moves up to Chicago and continues her life up there. And so that's for Catholic Drive Time program in the mornings. All right, we are going to be talking today about a very interesting topic, and it is about what does it mean to say that we are made to the image and likeness of God. Okay, and I promise you, I'm going to share some information from the Summa today that you all are not going to, I don't want to underestimate you, but I bet you it's going to be new information, okay?
Wow,
it's going to be
Dave.
something that you haven't really thought about yet. So hopefully that would be pretty cool. And if you're just joining us for the first time, this is a show about the Summa Theologia, St. Thomas Aquinas' great work. And we try to unpack various topics in as light of a manner as possible. To what degree of success we've had in that regard, I'm not sure. But
Feel free to let us know, please.
Yeah,
'cause
let us know.
Just don't ever feel worried, because if you're a little confused, Jonathan and I probably are as well.
Probably more confused.
Probably
That's
more
right.
confused.
I think the way I've set it up today, I mean, granted, some of the teachings have been pretty deep and pretty heavy. I think I'm doing it today in a way that's not going to be quite so much, okay? You can be the judge of that.
We will.
Okay, yes. You be the judge. You let me know, but I'm trying, okay? I'm really trying. Of course, when I picked up the Summa for the first time and read it, it fundamentally changed my life. There was something about it, maybe the same kind of thing that resonates with Jonathan, that why he's thinking about the Dominicans. There's something about the order, the structure. I saw it as a blueprint for kind of what our purpose in life is, which is to get to heaven. And that's what we try to do. We try to just make this as simple as possible. So hopefully we'll be successful in that. Also, don't forget about joining our email list. This is how we keep in touch with you. You can email me directly, davepalmer@grnonline.com. and request to be on our email list, and we sent out the video.
We did,
Yeah.
and just as an FYI to anyone who is watching, and if you were already on that email list, if you, for some reason, didn't receive it, I promise you probably did. It just might look in your different folders in your email.
Yeah.
So a couple of us had like some issues with getting it, but I promise it's there. So yeah, we sent a goofy video, and anyone who signs up will get the goofy video that we did about the show. So just email Dave Palmer@grnonline.com, and we will add you to the list, and we'll also send you a reminder about our show and maybe some other, kind of special sneak peeks about the shows.
Yeah. So any comments on the video? I thought it turned out quite nice.
I mean, Jonathan and Diane loved it.
Well, I haven't been able to see it yet.
Jonathan!
Yeah.
Jonathan's one of the ones who was confused.
Yeah.
and couldn't
Jonathan,
get it.
if he had seen it, he would have liked it.
Jonathan's.
Yeah.
I feel like Jonathan. He knows how good he is at acting, so he knows it's good.
Well, yeah, there's an inside joke that Jonathan is the kind of the heretic, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm not going to give it away, but there's one point in the video where Jonathan kind of acts like a heretic without actually saying anything.
It's a very good scene,
which is kind
I
of
think.
funny. I thought that was one of the funnier moments. And also the kind of the four panel of all of us putting our hats on.
Oh, yeah.
So email me if you want to be on the list. Dave Palmer at grnonline.com. Dave Palmer at grnonline.com. Really all we'll do is send you an email once a week reminding you about the topic and when to tune in and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. And don't forget, if you are paying attention, let us know what you think and ask questions, dialogue. You can also call in. You know that? You can actually call and talk to Diane, 877-757-9424. 877-757-9424. Even though we aren't going over on the radio, if you're watching on the social media platforms and you'd rather call in than text, I'll tell you, when we first get a call, that would be so exciting. Because we know you're watching, but we also would love to hear your voice as well. So that's the phone number, 877-757-9424. All right, so last week we talked about the kind of what Adam and Eve were like before original sin. I thought that was kind of interesting. You say, well, what does it matter? Well, it's, as Thomas said, it's because they had a position between us now and heaven, right? So if you understand their state of original justice, you're kind of on your way to understanding what heaven is like, because heaven is really, really mysterious. And so Thomas explains that, explains angelic life, and so we're kind of getting closer to an understanding of what heaven is going to be like. We also did a show at one point about what heaven would be like, what hell would be like. That was a very uplifting show, wasn't it?
It's a great one.
And today, what does it mean to be made to the image and likeness of God? So I warned Diane and Sissel and Jonathan. I said, I'm going to ask you this question, okay, at the beginning of the show. So what do you think that means? And did you learn it? Now, Cecil grew up Protestant, but it's no different. I'm sure they teach the same thing in Protestant schools. But what does it mean to you? And were you taught it at home in CCD, Catholic schools, homeschool, that kind of thing? So just kind of open up the floor to the, what do you think? What does it mean to be made to the image and likeness of God?
So I definitely was taught it. Growing up learning different Protestant catechisms, it was, one of the first questions I feel like that you learned. So definitely, and you remember reading Genesis and the creation, you made it in God's image. You got it. Admittedly, for myself, I don't sit there all the time going like, I'm, made in the image of God. It's just not something that crosses your mind all the time. I will say I do think about it more when I think of other people.
Yeah.
For instance, if someone maybe is, making me upset or annoying me, I'm like, okay, they're made in the image of God. They're a beautiful child of God. That kind of thing in your head, I just need to remember that and look past, my issues and just remember that God made them after himself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of generally how I feel.
Well, I'm glad you said that, but let me come back to that.
Okay.
Remind me about that, because that's one of the points I was going to make. Jonathan, you had some time to think about it as well. Did you learn it? Your homeschool, Catholic homeschool, you probably learned it. What does it mean to you?
Well, actually, my brother just mentioned it to me one day when we were.
That's how
He
homeschooling
reminded
works.
about it.
Yeah,
he said,
exactly.
you're made in the image and likeness of God, or
Well, no,
what?
Well, like as to what it means.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I just sort of heard it and I thought, I'm, embarrassed to admit, but I thought it just meant that like, physically,
Yeah.
Because this is when I was much younger. But my brother just mentioned, I can't remember how it came about, but he was just saying that no, it means that you're that you have a soul. You're a rational, like immortal soul, and that's what it means to be created.
Yeah, I'm glad you said rational and immortal, because plants have souls,
Yeah.
right? And
Animals know
dogs
that.
and monkeys and aardvarks and all that kind of stuff. So that has a lot to do with it. So does our image, being made to the image and likeness of God, does that have anything to do with our body? Because, of course, one of the most popular theologies of the last 20, 30 years has been John Paul II's theology of the body, right? Everybody's talking about the body, and the body speaks a language, the body communicates. And so I mentioned last week that I'd love to talk to Monica Aschauer or Christopher West about this, because I think, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, that they would say that perhaps the body does have something to do with our image in God. Of course, Jesus had a body. But Thomas would disagree. He would say that the image and likeness is only in the mind. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Diane Xavier,
Yes.
what about you? Any comments before we get started here in earnest?
Yes, I think when we say we are made in the image and likeness of God, I think it means that God gave us the gift of life. He loves us, and he wants us to use the gifts he has given us to be co-creators of this world, like our good Lord God is.
Okay, interesting. So co-creators, like we can give birth to babies, and tell me more about that. What does that mean?
Oh, just create anything you want. Like people who invent things, or in your vocation, just create daily. God gives you the gifts for
Interesting.
your talents, and that's and we are his co-creators on this earth.
Yeah. All right. Well, actually, that's going to play a part of something that Aquinas is going to say. Okay. So I'm going to remind you when we get to that part. All right. And I want to get back to Cecil's comment as well, because you were talking about how you see people differently, and my kids are sick of me saying it. If they say something about somebody, or think about somebody you don't like. I can think of people like on the national or international stage that I don't really care for too much. But as Cecil said so eloquently, you got to remind yourself they're made to the image and likeness of God. And so my question is if we really understood God. Okay, that's the first thing. Remember we did a show on the attributes of God? You guys were kind of like your eyes were glossed over. The 7 main attributes of God is that, and I think everybody should commit this to memory, okay? No pressure. But God is simple, and he's perfect, and he's good, and he's infinite, immutable, eternal, and one. Okay, so if we really understand that God is perfect, and he's one, and he's infinite and immutable, and you really start to you're not going to ever totally comprehend God, but you start to think about God. And then you realize that your worst enemy is made to him as his image and likeness.
It's a bitter pill to swallow. All my many enemies I have.
I know you have so many.
so
You're such an
many.
irascible creature, aren't you? I can't imagine anybody being an enemy of Cecil, but she claims to have a few, okay? So think about that. And here I would take it a step further. do you think if we were able to convince enough people in the world that every human creature is made to the image and likeness of God, would that eliminate abortion? I mean, instantly. I mean, can you abort a child that you know is made to the image and likeness of God? I think it would eliminate racism. I think it would eliminate euthanasia. I think it would eliminate, like petty squabbles about everything in the world that we're dealing with right now. I mean, it's not to say we'd have a utopia, but it would change things fundamentally. And so as we talk about this, I want to take it very seriously, okay? Because this is really important. And that's what we try to do in this show is bring it down to some place where it actually is applicable to everyday life. So if you can somehow communicate this to your kids about what it means to be made to the image and likeness of God based on the teachings of the Summa Theologia, I tell you, we can create a better world here and certainly a better world in the age to come. All right, Jonathan was asking me, we're going to flip over to the PowerPoint presentation. If you're watching this on social media, you have the benefit of seeing that right now I have a picture of a tulip, a monkey, and a human being. Okay, so why
name a more iconic trio?
Yeah. Right.
What did you say?
Name a more iconic trio.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I feel like we're just ripping Dave's PowerPoint constantly.
I know. So why did they put a tulip, a monkey, and a human being?
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, what do they have in common?
They're all alive?
Yes, they all have
Okay,
lives.
they're all alive. What else?
Some
Beautiful.
beautiful in their own way.
Yeah.
I
I'd
don't know
say,
about the monkey.
Yeah, they're all alive. Thomas would say they all have souls. They're all, creatures. Even the monkey is even on like a branch. Even the branch, would have a soul to some degree. The tree that it's on. Okay, so all right, but how are they different? All right, so of course, one of them is made to the image and likeness of God. Now, I've asked you this before, but you probably forget the answer. Sissel, I remember, gave an interesting guess on this. How many? I'm going to ask Diane to take a wild guess. Okay, how many species of creatures in the world?
I failed this massively. I now remember.
I want you to relive that moment of the show.
A million.
A million. Okay. Do you remember the answer, Jonathan? How many species of creatures? Anybody out there listening?
I see the sad thing is I don't even remember what the answer was.
I think it was like 60 million.
60
around that.
Okay, 60 million. All right. It's actually 8.7 million species. Okay, but that's a lot. It's a lot of species. Okay, you think about it, right? All right, so if you're following PowerPoint, you're going to see that my favorite animal in the world is being put up on the screen right now, and it's a snake. In fact, that actually shows up in our video, right?
You gave warnings before you put a snake on the screen.
Does that freak you out?
No, I don't
Sissel's
care.
favorite creature is a cockroach, by the way. She loves cockroaches.
There's a reason why at the moment I have had issues with them.
All right, so 3,000 species of snakes.
Wow.
Okay, think about that.
Goodness
That's a lot.
All right,
gracious.
so 3,000 species of snakes alone. Guess how many species of fish? This will.
that's gotta be a
okay,
lot.
if there's 3,000 species of snakes, you want to take a guess? How many
Gosh, that's
how many
gotta be a
fish?
lot.
Oh, like, man.
I'm gonna say almost. I would almost say.
Like 20,000?
Hey,
30,000?
good guess. Did you say 30?
Yeah, 20,
All right,
30.
32,000.
I'm really glad you spoke first.
Isn't
before
that
I did.
amazing?
Well, I guess it's been
This is
quite
not your thing, is it, Sissel? I have to get
I'm
these.
the worst. People ask me how many people were in this room of a large gathering. I'll be like 300, and they're like, "There's 30,000."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
All right, 10,000 species of birds.
Okay.
All right, to that, I'm like, gosh, we worship a creative God that creates. I mean, if I had to draw 10 birds, probably 3 of them would look the same. God created that many species of birds. And think about the penguin, the dodo bird, and the mockingbird, and the sparrow. They all look different, but they have something in common, okay? They're all birds. Interestingly, how many dogs do you think there are? How many species of dogs? And if you're watching on our social media platforms, give us a guess, okay?
Yes,
and I am getting somewhere with this, okay? This isn't just... This isn't just small talk, okay?
Okay, so how many species of dogs? So I want to see if someone else has a guess so that maybe it'll make smarter. If you see somebody.
Yeah, and it's not as many as
I was going to say, it's got to be quite a bit less.
Yeah, I think I actually heard it at one point. It's like...
Of course. Why did Jonathan know these things?
I don't know.
Okay, so
that's actually my favorite bird you have up there.
Oh, is that right? What is it?
That is the painted bunting. They're native to Texas.
Is that right? Okay. Well.
Okay, Buddy says 5,000. I'm going to go.
5,000?
You say dogs?
Yes, it's
5,000 dogs.
I'm
Okay.
going to say 273.
I thought it was around somewhere
You
like that.
looked that up.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
Wait. What is it actually?
No, you're not. You know, the interesting thing is, if you, and of course, I just do a Google search, right?
Right.
And they're like, they don't know, but they said some people say 202, and some have it as high as 340. I'm like, how do you not know how many species of dogs there are? See, I mean, you like got it right in the middle.
I've redeemed myself.
and you didn't cheat.
I didn't cheat. No,
Wow,
I was
that's
honestly
amazing.
hoping someone would, I
But
could phone a friend.
Buddy
Good
off
guess,
by
Ben.
a few thousand.
It's okay,
but
buddy. I feel
we don't
your
ever
pain.
want to
I've been just
shame.
like that.
Never want to shame the people that comment on it, because we don't want to lose them.
I'm pretty sure I said 500,000 species.
All
last
right.
time,
So yeah. So you got some pictures on the screen here. You can see it. But anyways, why does it matter? Because, and this is the thing that if I could just get this across, the one thing on this broadcast today, we are special, and not in that sentimental, gooey kind of way. But when you think about 8.7 million species out there, and God only chose one, all the angels are made to the image and likeness of God, okay? But they're each their own species in kind of a weird way. We're very unique. Of all the creatures that you see, no other one can say that. No one can claim it, okay? So keep that in mind, and it should change everything in regard to the way we see the world, all right? All right, so you ready for the teachings? All right,
Yes.
let's dig.
Let's go.
As if there's another
Well, my
answer
head
for that.
said
No. Well, then we go off the air and we go home, okay? Start our weekend early. But, all right. And I know Adrian is paying attention. I think he's
Yes.
driving, but...
Safely, we hope.
All right, so look at this. Now, I think you're going to find this interesting, okay? So Thomas says, whether the image of God is in man. And he says, for an image is so called because it is produced as an imitation of something else. Wherefore, for instance, an egg, it's so funny how he uses these examples, however much like or equal to another egg is not called an image of an egg, okay? What that means is that you're not an image of me. All right. And Diane's not an image of Jonathan. Okay. We're kind of like the eggs. All right. But we are.
T-shirt.
We're the eggs.
Hashtag we are the
the
eggs.
eggs.
Okay. All right. But we are to the image of God. Okay. That's pretty important. But Thomas goes on, equality does not belong to the essence of an image. As Augustine says, where there is an image, there is not necessarily equality, as we see in a person's image reflected in a glass. All right, so just in case you thought that you were equal to God because you're made to his image, get that out of your mind, okay? You are not equal to God. But he goes on and says, it is manifest that in man there is some likeness to God, copied from God as from an exemplar. Yet this likeness is not one of equality, for such an exemplar infinitely excels its copy. Therefore, there is in man a likeness to God, not indeed a perfect likeness, but imperfect. And Scripture implies the same when it says that man was made to God's likeness, for the proposition to signifies a certain approach as of something at a distance, okay? So I actually have heard that it's more appropriate to say we are made to God's likeness and likeness rather than in God's likeness. You ever heard that? Like there's actually a difference, being made to the likeness or as opposed to
Interesting.
made in the image and likeness rather to, but I'm not going to.
I've heard it both ways.
I won't split hairs there. Okay. All right. So is the image of God to be found in irrational creatures? All right. Thomas says not every likeness, not even what is copied from something else, is sufficient to make an image. The nature of an image requires likeness in species. Thus, the image of the king exists in his son, or at least in some specific accident, and chiefly in the shape. Thus, we speak of a man's image in copper, whence Hilary says an image is of the same species. Okay, so I think that my son would have the image of me, okay? Because now we're the same species, but I said you're not in the image of me because I had nothing to do with creating you, right? But my son would be, okay? So we have the same species in a sense as God, although God is not in a species, okay? But how so? that make sense, Mr. Future Dominican Possible Priest?
I think it makes sense. Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, it'll become a little bit more understandable here. Okay. It is manifest that specific likeness follows the ultimate difference, but some things are like to God first and most commonly because they exist, secondly because they live, and thirdly because they know or understand. And these last, as Augustine says, approach so near to God in likeness that among all creatures nothing comes nearer to him. It is clear, therefore, that intellectual creatures alone, properly speaking, are made to God's image. All right? In that, I find that amazing, that of all the creatures, okay, the intellectual creatures, and there's only the angels and us, that's it, as far as intellectual creatures. And God, of course, is intellectual, but he's not a creature. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So what is something that only exists but doesn't have life? Like dirt or a brick or...
Rocks. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's a good example. Yeah, rocks.
Did Disney use a rock as an example?
Rocks would be a good example. Okay, something that lives but doesn't have, a sensitive soul would be like a plant or a bush or a tree or something like that. And then you go up the chain to things like monkeys and dogs, and then they have sensitive souls, and then us. Okay, the intellectual creatures. All right. Let us move on. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay, are the angels more to the image of God than man is? All right, this is actually where Diane's thing is going to come in, okay? Diane was on to something a moment ago. Do you remember what you said, Diane? Yeah. You
We
were
are
talking about-
co-creators.
Yeah, co-creators. So would angels be more to God's likeness than we are, or are we more to God's likeness than an angel is?
I feel like we've talked about this on an earlier show slightly.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
we did. Yeah.
We did when we talked about angels, and I genuinely do not remember what we said.
I think the angels are, because they're more perfect, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and by the way, if you are watching, comment and let us know what you're thinking. I know Buddy is out there.
We got Jeffrey also on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and so
Jeffrey.
he's-
Good. I'm glad you're watching. Let us know what you're thinking, Jeffrey, out there.
He
We
says
don't
that
want to.
the two versus in is an interesting thought, so we might have to go into that more on another show. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Talk
made
about-
made in the image and likeness as opposed to the image and likeness. I don't know. We need like an English teacher to tell us what the difference
Yes,
between
that's a good
those is. In the
idea.
image or to the image.
Ooh.
I think in is a little bit more like involved if you're in the image as opposed to the image. But okay, we can get back to that, okay? But listen to what he says here, because this is really interesting. He says, we may speak of God's image in two ways. First, we may consider it in that in which the image chiefly consists, that is, the intellectual nature. Thus, the image of God is more perfect in the angels than in man because their intellectual nature is more perfect. And I think that's what you're getting at, right?
Yep.
All
pretty
right.
much.
Smiley face on Jonathan's paper. You got that one right. All right.
I didn't
Secondly,
realize we were keeping tally, but maybe we should start keeping tally.
you got the species of dogs right.
I
Okay.
know.
So
But
You didn't get a
that's
smiley
good.
face, so
Yeah, I think I'm sensing some discrimination going on.
All right. So here's where Diane's brilliance comes in. Okay. I think this is where Diane did. Do you remember when we talked about this before, or were you just like?
No, I
Diane's
remember.
like. Okay. All right.
So Diane's brilliant.
No. So are you fishing for compliments? So I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
Okay,
Now
I
we
think
can
you've
move
done
on.
you've done a great job on the
Thank
program
you.
so far, man. When you picked out how many species of dogs and you said 273, you nailed it, Sissel. All
Sorry
right.
to derail the conversation.
All
I
right.
just thought it was
So,
really funny.
okay. Secondly, we may consider the image of God in man as regards its accidental qualities, so far as to observe in man a certain imitation of God, consisting in the fact that man proceeds from man as God from God, and also in the fact that okay. So let's stop there. All right, man proceeds from man as God from God. And I think we did talk about this when we talked about the angels. Angels can't have babies. Okay, so Diane got it right. We can we can create people of our species. Okay, angels can't do that. Isn't that a drag? To be an angel, you can. You're like all lonely and sitting around as grandparents, and wondering.
You can't be grandparents.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're
Sitting
like
around is old.
like old. You can't be old. I mean, there's like
that's
there's
true,
like
yeah.
no age, right? And so, I mean, the joy. My wife and I have 3 kids. It's great. I hope we have grandkids one day, but they can never experience that. okay, God can experience having children. Angels can't. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty exciting to me. All right. Also, now get a load of this. This is interesting. Okay. Also, in the fact that the whole human soul is in the whole body as God from God, and also in the fact that the whole human soul is in the whole body, and again in every part as God is in regard to the whole world. In these things and the like, the image of God is more perfect in man than in the angels. Okay, isn't that kind of interesting? Like our soul is not just in our finger or our brain, or it's like the soul is in the whole body, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's comparing that to the God being in the whole world. I mean, there's not any part of the world that God isn't present, right? And just like there's no part of us that our soul isn't. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, perhaps. I don't know. What do you think? I like the one about creating better.
Yeah.
But you're doing great, Sissel.
Thank you. I was having my brain stop for a second there.
It's just, okay. So, all right. So, all right. So, are there any comments? Anybody saying anything? Is this making sense? Again, it's deep, but hey, if we understand this, why are we in some ways even better than the angels? We're certainly better than our dog. We're certainly better than cats and even monkeys. That's why I put the monkey picture up there. Is because sometimes, we got a call. All right,
Ooh,
yeah, Jonathan, what are you guys?
I just want to clarify. I was fiddling around with the social media, so I couldn't pay attention as much as I wanted to.
Okay.
But so basically, he's saying that it's kind of 50-50. We are in some ways better and lesser. Or
one thing you'll learn in the Summa is that Thomas often doesn't take a black or white. Like it's only this way or it's only that way. He'll say in one way it's this, and in one way it's not. All right, we're going to go to the calls. I'm not sure if this is Adrian or just somebody with the same last name. It says Melissa. Hi, Melissa. How are you? Well, I've got another call coming in, Diane. Hi. Is this Melissa? Or?
I think that's Adrian.
It is Adrian. Yeah, okay. That's my mother.
Okay. I thought you went off and got married or something, Adrian.
No, not yet. Maybe one. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, what do you think about all this? Is it making sense?
Yeah, two thoughts. One is the idea of co-creation.
Yeah.
J.R.R. Tolkien actually talked about this whenever he was writing the Silmarillion. He referred to the what essentially are angels as the sub-creators, and referred to as man whenever we create as sub-creators, because we're taking what was originally created by God and creating other things out of those things. So we're not actual creators, but we're sub-creators according to Tolkien's mind. And then the other comment was about when you were talking about Thomas kind of doesn't always take a 100% stance on things.
Yeah.
In Dominican philosophy, there's a saying that we used to use. It's never deny, seldom affirm, and always distinguish. And that's the general Thomistic principle.
Yeah, that's a great point. He does that a lot, which I think is the fact that he is trying to look at things from a lot of different angles and not just say it's absolutely this or absolutely that. The other thing, and Adrian, I know you've spent a lot of time on the Summa, is that he loves to order things. How are the cardinal virtues ordered? How are the angels ordered? How are the everything has an order, and I find that very comforting because there's a structure about it. What do you think about that?
It's very godly, and it's again another reason why he can be referred to as the angelic doctor, because people forget that oneness and unity are one of the attributes of being of God, and so he reflects that in the Summa of things being very orderly, very structured, and very clear. And then clarity and orderliness is next to godliness.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very brilliant of him to do so in that way.
Yeah, very good. Adrian, thanks so much. Always appreciate your feedback and your comments. And you hear we might have another. We got an aspiring potential Dominican amongst us.
Yes, put him in touch with me. I would love to put him in touch with the Eastern Province. And that would be great.
That'd be really cool.
All right, Adrian. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Glad you're listening. Adrian's the producer of the Catholic Drive Time. That's heard every weekday Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 o'clock across the Guadalupe Radio Network. And so we had Buddy call in, but I guess he probably had to go. Buddy, call back. We'd love to hear your voice and what you have to say. It is now 34 minutes after the hour, and this is Back to the Father here on the Guadalupe Radio Network's social media sites. And we appreciate all the comments and anything else as far as. Sometimes people text me directly.
They have the in with you, and they can text you directly.
Yeah. And when we were going to give away the award for the best comments, and
Yes.
Buddy wanted. Maybe he's calling to try to claim his award because we didn't give him anything.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, all right. Buddy's calling in here. Let's talk to Buddy. And all right, Buddy. How you doing, man? Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yes, this is Joseph or Buddy on the internet. And what I was asking about is how does St. Thomas basically confirm that other philosophers put us as animals when we are exactly above the animals because we have a soul and he made us in his image. But then you go to philosophy and Aristotle and others will say that we are in fact animals.
Yeah. But you've got something in the background. Is that the radio, or is that just ambient noise behind you?
That's probably you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you could turn that down. It almost sounds like, I can't tell if you're at a mall or what. I hear myself coming
there
back.
There you go, sir.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, I think most scientists would say, and I think even it's okay to say that we're animals, right? I mean, we are in the Animalia, kingdom. Thomas would say that that all creatures that have life would have souls, So I don't know if there's a big disparity. I think if somebody were to say we're only animals or there's no difference between us, and I think there's a big push for that in our culture, is to try to equate us with animals. I think I mentioned one time on the show that the London Zoo one time, to be cute, had an animal display where they actually put human beings in to kind of make the point that, hey, we're no different than the giraffes or the bears and all that. But does that get to the point, Buddy, that you're getting at, or did I answer it?
Kind of, but that's what I'm getting at is the confusion, because when you say that we are higher and that the natural law is applied to us and not animals, in fact, the reason why we have the natural law is because we do not sink down to our animal fallen state. And when you start confusing, it seems like a confusion, especially when you start preaching to people or whatever, well, the natural law is this, and then they'll go directly to, well, this animal does this animal does that, and it's not, and that somehow is now the natural law because certain activities are done by animals, and it's okay for humans to do it because...
Oh, it looks like we may have lost him. Did we lose him, Diane? Buddy, I think if you're still listening, we're going to go ahead and respond. I think you got most of what you were going to say across. But he's right. I mean, well, first of all, there's kind of like a spectrum. You got an earthworm and a cricket, and then you got a monkey or a dog. I mean, I look at my dog sometimes, and it seems like the dog is processing something. There's a whole lot going on more with a dog than there is the goldfish, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, but how do we... But then I've never been to the zoo and looked at like the orangutans or the apes and said, you know what, I totally relate to that. Like I would relate to you. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get it.
So there's something
Absolutely.
different.
Oh, absolutely, and I agree with what Buddy is saying that there is a big push nowadays on it, and we've talked about it before. But people are putting animals sometimes higher than humans, and that's not good. Obviously, I think there was an experiment done on a YouTube video years ago where people played on a hot day in their car. They played baby crying noises from inside the car. So you're thinking kid got left in the car, and that's very dangerous, to see how many people would run over to the car and try to get the kid out.
Yeah.
And then they also did dog barking from in the car, and it was probably about 80% more people went for the dog than the baby.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that dogs came over to the car to help the baby, because they might do that.
The dogs would more likely have done it than the humans, unfortunately, did. But it's the idea that we just generally are very, like, oh, gotta protect the animals, which is obviously we don't harm animals,
Right.
I've actually heard that like something like a dog abortion is actually like like horrendous to most people, even like pro-choicers. So it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think this topic, and I had already said this, I don't want to repeat myself, is so important. And I think it needs to be reiterated. And people need to say, not only are we made in the image and likeness of God, well, what does that mean? And how, to talk about the angels. And kind of Buddy's point as well, and what we've been talking about, we have something in common with the animals.
Yeah.
We have something in common with the rock. I mean, we exist, right?
So Adrian said, we have everything in the categories below us, but more than just an animal soul.
Yeah.
So it's that's
Yeah,
kind of
right.
a simple way.
And Thomas is very clear about that. There's like you rise up and you go from the rock to even within the sensitive the plants that don't have sensitive souls. They have vegetative or nutritive souls, and then the sensitive soul of the animals. And even with them, there's a spectrum. And then you got us, and we got everything below, but also something above. And God in his perfection said, I'm not going to go straight from the man to God. I'm going to put something in between. I'm going to put the angels. We got something in common with the angels. We have something they have, and they have something, So I think, again, the order is really fascinating. All right, if you're listening on our social media platforms and you want to comment and let us know if this is making sense to you, I think it changes a lot about how we see the human person and how we distinguish our brother from our dog, or
I don't see much of a difference between those two. I'm just gonna say.
I was going to say, depends on the day. No,
Yeah.
Well, no, I know you guys are joking. I know how much
we
you
are.
love your brother, right?
Yeah,
And I haven't met your-
absolutely. Absolutely.
In case he's listening. All right, let's move on. Great comments, and love getting the calls. That was awesome. Great to hear from Buddy. And I know Buddy loves this stuff because he emailed me during the week. So, all right, call in if you'd like, 877-757-9424. We're talking about what does it mean to be made to the image and likeness of God, or in the image and likeness of God, as Jeffrey had asked for clarification about. All right, so now Thomas says, and we only have two more articles remaining, whether the image of God is in man as regards the mind only. Okay, only the mind. Is it only the mind? Does it have anything to do with the body? Does it have anything to do with the passions, or that kind of thing? Okay, he says, and if following along, you see the up on the screen here. While in all creatures there is some kind of likeness to God, in the rational creature alone we find a likeness of image, whereas in other creatures we find a likeness by way of a trace. Now, the intellect or mind is that whereby the rational creature excels other creatures. Wherefore, this image of God is not found even in the rational creature except in the mind. While in the other parts, which the rational creature may happen to possess, we find the likeness of a trace. And this is where I'd love, and I know we got a pretty small audience right now, but somebody who is an expert in the theology of the body. What did John Paul II say about this? Okay, I've read the theology of the body, but it's been a long time. If Christopher West, if you're listening, can you call? Monica Ashour. Okay, so what does John Paul II, I'd love to know, all right, whether they would disagree with this on Thomas is saying it's only in the mind. Okay, he goes on and says, an image represents something by likeness and species, as we have said, while a trace represents something by way of an effect. All right, he goes on, for as to the likeness of the divine nature, rational creatures seem to attain, after a fashion, to the representation of the species inasmuch as they imitate God, not only in being and life, but also in intelligence, whereas other creatures do not understand, although we observe in them a certain trace of the intellect that created them if we consider their disposition. There's this awesome article in the Summa, I know I've shared it with you guys, about why there are so many creatures, okay? And Thomas says, because, you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, I remember. It was,
Yeah. It's my favorite article. I think that might be my favorite article in the entire Summa, one of them. It's kind of hard when there's 3,000 of them, but
Yeah.
Do you remember what he said?
I mean, like, not word for word, of course.
Jonathan, come
Wow.
on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, but kind of paraphrase. Do you remember a little bit about what he said?
It's like each part of creation is sort of like a little piece of God, how we
It
can learn.
reveals God a little bit.
Yeah. I think I compared it to a puzzle, where every part of a puzzle tells you something about the picture. Mm-hmm. And again, when I read that, that changed so much about the way I see the world. Because I see a butterfly or anything, a tree, a squirrel, and I think, okay, there's something about that creature, okay, that tell me something about God. It's an effect. It's an effect of God. But he's making a distinction here about the intellectual creature. So get this, last paragraph here. Likewise, as the uncreated Trinity is distinguished by the procession of the word from the speaker. Do you guys remember when we talked about the Trinity?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course we do, okay?
Oh, no.
Because that's why we call Jesus the Word of God, right? Because Jesus is the concept, I should say the second person of the Trinity. Let's just say that. Because Jesus implies the incarnation, which, of course, is the second person of the Trinity. But Thomas says in the part in the Trinity that the second person of the Trinity is the concept in the mind of the Father. All right. Okay. That's why do we call Jesus the Word of God? Okay. I mean, think about it, because it's the unspoken word. And so the second person of the Trinity begins outside of time as a concept in the mind of God. All right. So I know that's really deep, but if you ever have like a little bit of time and you just want to read that article, it's absolutely fascinating.
What article is it again?
That goes back to the Trinity. I don't know. I don't know offhand, but
Come on, you're supposed to be the one who.
I'm letting you down. Okay, but get this. Okay, so likewise, as the uncreated Trinity is distinguished by the procession of the word from the speaker, and the love from both of these, which is the Holy Spirit. Okay, when the Father and the Son love each other, the result is the Holy Spirit. Okay, that's Trinitarian theology. Okay, so we may say that in rational creatures, wherein we find a procession of the word and the intellect. All right, everything I'm saying right now began as a concept in my mind. All right, it's in my mind, and then I enunciate it. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm imitating the Trinity.
Congratulations.
Just what we need. The Back to the Father smart aleck. No, but you're. I mean, I know you're joking.
You were just so excited. You were like, I imitated the Trinity.
But so are you.
I am. Oh my gosh.
No, so I mean that's the thing, and animals don't do this.
No, they don't.
Okay, they don't have any concepts in their mind. Okay, that's pretty exciting, isn't it? And and Thomas would say that, and this is where it seems a little weird. That he would say dogs can't love. Okay, my 12-year-old daughter gets very disappointed every time I tell her that, because she thinks she loves her dog and she loves him back, but irrational creatures can't love.
Wait, so my fish doesn't love me? What?
Are you quitting the show, Jonathan? Are you done?
I'm done. That's it.
I know my dogs don't love me. They love my food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of right there.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. I mean, they like snuggling. They like my bed.
Okay.
They like snuggling.
So here's the whole thing in this in the part on the Trinity, and we don't have a whole lot of time. If you want to call in, 877-757-9424. 877-757-9424. This is the kind of thing that I would want if I was talking to a group of 5-year-olds or 8-year-olds. And that's why I don't think Thomistic philosophy, you don't need to wait until you're in college to start studying this stuff. If you have a concept in your mind that you can then communicate to somebody else, you are in the only species that can do that other than angels, okay? Again, 8.7 million species in the world. Only one of them can do that among physical creatures. That's us. A dog cannot have a concept in his mind that he can communicate to other people. I mean, say what you want about dogs, they do not. They can't do that. All right. And so every time we think and process thoughts and communicate, we are imitating the Trinity. I don't know. I want to know what people are thinking about this. Or is that too deep? Or and every time we exercise, that's why love is an exercise of the will. Okay, so is hope. That's why faith is an exercise of the intellect. Hope and charity are exercise of the will. So when we have faith, we have hope, we have charity. We're exercising those parts of our being that imitate God. And that's why, okay, I'll stop. What do you all think? Diane, what do you think? Diane's like, whoa. Okay. Anybody out there watching want to comment on it? Anybody saying anything? What do you think?
No one is saying anything yet. But I mean, I do think it's kind of a cool thing. And I think it kind of going back to Trinity's a pretty deep topic, but it does, it does help though, when you think of it, that even just that very simple idea. You know, and I guess I never thought about it that way, that other creatures and animals don't communicate like that. That they have a thought, an idea, and communicate it. Because we do that all the time. We don't think it's special.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing is that we do it so often. I'm doing it right now.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I had to get you back.
Thank you. I will take the award now.
No, I like that. I'm imitating the Trinity. Congratulations. See, we need to do that more often. We need
sorry.
to. No.
Sassel has come out.
No, I think that's funny. Okay, so all right. We can take your calls if you want to call in. 877-757-9424. This is Back to the Father. To what degree of deepness is this? Okay, I think we can't make it like absolutely light. It can't be like a 1 or a 2, but if it's 10 or 9, then maybe it's too far. We want to kind of be in that 5, 6 range where it's like, yeah, it's pretty deep, but it's still.
Can we get like a deepometer or something like that? And just like every show.
Depometer.
The depometer. There we go.
How deep is it? How deep do you think this conversation has been in your estimation?
I would say there were. Wait. Is 1 not deep at all? And 10?
Yeah, 1 is like frivolous, talking about the weather.
A 7.8.
Okay,
I think it's been kind of wiggling a little bit.
Yeah, it has been. Some parts have been really, really easy. Like you're like, got it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like begetting children. The angels can't do that. That's pretty understandable,
those
right?
Stuff like that. But
okay. All right.
That's why there's 3 of us.
All right. So let us know if you want to call in. It was good to hear from Buddy and also from Adrian, 877-757-9424. Also love your comments. It was good to hear from Jeffrey. I actually talked to him during the week as well. And let me read the last little section here. And this is going to blow everybody away. Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. We already kind of talked about this, but he says, whether the image of God is to be found in the acts of the soul. Okay? A certain representation of the species belongs to the nature of an image. Hence, if the image of the divine Trinity is to be found in the soul, we must look for it where the soul approaches the nearest, did we just get up to an 8 on the deepometer? To a representation of the species, the divine persons. Now, the divine persons are distinct from each other by reason of the procession of the word from the speaker and the procession of love connecting both. But in our soul, word cannot exist without actual thought. Therefore, first and chiefly, the image of the Trinity is to be found in the acts of the soul. That is, inasmuch as from the knowledge which we possess by actual thought, we form an internal word and thence break forth into love. Oh, isn't that great? Break forth into love. Okay, so it's kind of repeating what he said in the previous article, but it's like, how are we like God? Okay, we imitate God with intellect and will. What is God? God is intellect. God is will. Okay, and God doesn't have an intellect. God doesn't have a will. He is intellect. He is will. He's existence. He's goodness. All right, and we get to participate in that through our intellect and our will. I don't know. That's pretty exciting to me.
That is.
Okay. So, all right, Jonathan, you're moving towards the microphone there.
No, well, I was thinking so really everything we do is sort of something we share with God because he's just the base. He's existence itself. So everything we do comes from him. So
yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that. Like if you scratch your head, that's because God doesn't have a head, or he doesn't have a hand.
Yeah.
So it's only what Thomas would say, and I'd want to know what the theology of the body people think about this. It's only in the exercise of our intellect and our will that we imitate God, because God is intellect, God is will, and that's what the angels are. Angels are pure intellect and will; they're pure spirit, right? So he would say that. But then you could say, well, what about when we love? Okay, well, we help a lady across the street, or we feed the hungry. We're using our body, but it's an act of the will that we're doing that. So in that way, we're imitating God, right? All right.
And then Jeffrey on YouTube asked, isn't that at least part of the reason God created us is so that we could share? I think is what he's indicating towards, is that we share in those things.
Yeah, definitely. And so to be able to share in his likeness, I mean, imagine God could have stopped with the creatures, and he could have had all these creatures that had a trace of him, and he'd have monkeys and baboons and porpoises and dolphins, and I'm really doing a lot of the same kind of, and
kangaroos.
Okay.
Oh, were you trying to do non-animal?
No. Kangaroo, giraffes, and all that. He could have stopped
Otters.
right there. So why? I think what Jeffrey's getting at is that why did God decide to create a creature so much like himself? the angels and man, right? That was so much like him, it's almost scary, okay? Because and also one that could sin, because the animals can't sin, right? No cricket has ever sinned.
I would beg to differ, but that's okay. By terrorizing me, but that's
How about the cockroaches? Which that's something. All right, we're down to our last few minutes. Jeffrey, thank you for your comment, and Adrian, and also Buddy as well. And if you are out there and you're in the silent minority and saying, you know what, I think my comment wouldn't make much sense. We want to know, first of all, that you're out there. We want to know that you're watching. I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know. I think like the most boring article of the Summa is interesting, so I'm not a good gauge of this.
No, I think it's very interesting.
I don't know.
I do think it is, because it's something I think we all neglect to think about. Realizing, we were made in the image of God. That's awesome. So.
All right.
This is the time of the show, Dave, I think, where we're supposed to put you on the hot seat.
Oh, yeah.
FYI.
You guys come prepared?
I absolutely did, because I have, inside sources and friends in high places.
Oh, it's called Adrian?
No. Why would you think that, Dave? I don't know what you're thinking.
Okay, so
this is
all right.
Okay, I'm going to try out a name for the show, and you all have to tell me, you got to rate it on a 1 to 10. We might have to have a new name if you don't like it, but I'm going to call it, for right now, Let's Give Dave Summa to think about.
That's good. That's good.
All right. So basically, I think if you get this question right, I'm going to say Adrian gave it to me. If you get it wrong, which means we win, I'm going to say Jonathan and I made it up.
Credit.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Is Jonathan in on this? Does he know what you're going to say?
He has no idea.
No
so he can also
all
technically
right.
make a guess if you want to.
All right.
So,
he can be my lifeline.
all right.
Okay.
The question is, it's really deep. Get ready.
All right.
How many siblings did St. Thomas Aquinas have?
Whoa.
I
How
weirdly
many
think I know
siblings?
this.
Okay, well, you don't say anything. then,
Okay.
Jonathan.
I know he had brothers, plural, because they're the ones that put him up in the tower.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that he had a sister. Okay, so I am going to do. Let me guess first, and then Jonathan, you can say as well. So Adrian knows the answer to this. He's from a very noble family, and so not that really matters. I think pretty much everybody was having a lot of kids back then. I'm going to say he had 5 siblings.
5 siblings? Is that final answer?
Final answer. What do you
Jonathan,
think, Jonathan?
do you want to make a guess?
I honestly don't know why, but I really think it's 7.
7.
Oh.
Okay, well, Jonathan is closer. It's 8.
man.
All right.
All
Okay,
right.
well, thank you, Adrian, for that.
So now
tidbit.
you're giving Adrian credit. You're taking credit, or you
I would love to take credit, but I don't want to have to go to confession, so I'm.
All right, and Adrian approves. He said, I guess he said, "I love it. You rock, Sissel." He likes his question. I guess it's all in the delivery, right? He likes the way
the name of my segment.
Yeah.
Let's
okay.
give Dave Summa to think about.
So talk about. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Oh, are you done, or is
Yeah,
that it?
That was it.
Okay. And I did like your congratulations comment earlier. Okay, even though I called you a smart aleck, a Sissel aleck.
It's okay. That's fine.
All right, you guys ready? A little trivia question,
Okay.
and you
Yes.
guys watching on the social
no.
media platforms can do it. I know I've mentioned this before, so don't say it out loud if you know it. So we'll see if everybody knows it. Whom did St. Thomas Aquinas graduate with from the University of Paris? Another doctor of the church. I know Adrian knows this, and okay. Oh, I think if he gets real quiet all of a sudden,
Adrian, you can text me.
Okay, so it's the most amazing
another
thing.
doctor of the
He
church.
graduates from the University of Paris, I guess, with a degree in theology. And one of his classmates that he's in school with is a really, really well-known. He's a doctor of the church. Can you imagine? Okay, so any guesses? I'll start giving hints if you don't know.
I'm so bad
And
at,
Diane's
like,
telling us we have
time
2
periods,
minutes. 2 minutes. Okay.
I always get confused when saints live, so I'm really bad
Yeah, I
about
know.
figuring out. Okay, was this saint alive then?
Sissel's lining up her excuses.
I am lining them up now.
Stacking them deep.
Come on,
Okay.
Adrian. I'm trying to buy time so Adrian will text me.
Oh, Adrian doesn't know. You know, he may have left. You know, we can't
No,
assume.
Adrian.
All right.
I remember you talking about
You
it,
want to
but-
guess? He's a
Jonathan,
Okay, he's a Franciscan.
Okay.
He wrote He wrote a biography of Saint Francis. He's all right.
Oh, he's saying he won't say, Adrian. That is not nice.
All right, it is. I know Adrian knows.
Okay.
Does anybody else know who's out there? All right.
I give
Jonathan
up.
is.
I'm going to stay
is
intelligent
fluxumed.
and not say anything.
Okay, it is Bonaventure.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Saint Bonaventure, doctor of the church, Franciscan, and they went to school together. I find that so interesting. Okay,
Do you notice that like saints tend to be in groups? You know, they know each other. That's like a thing. You got to have holy friends, and then you'll all be saints one day. And they'll be like, "Hey, did you know that Jonathan and Cecil knew each other?"
Like Francis. Wow, you're really lifting yourself up.
Jonathan,
but you're right. A lot of the saints knew each other. You think about
now Adrian texts me.
Not that these are canonized saints, but Tolkien was friends with C.S. Lewis, and did they know G.K. Chesterton? Was he around the same time?
Yeah,
I think. I mean,
feel like
they come in threes, right? Like you three. You know, I'm just the
They reflect the Trinity.
The Deadwood,
Yeah,
right? There
there
you
you
go.
go.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I thought it was a fun show. It was a 7.8 on the depometer.
Unless you all think otherwise, please let us know.
All right. And thanks. The seraphic doctor. That's what Bonaventure is known as. He said Franciscan. Yeah, very good. All right. Thanks to Diane. Thanks to Cecil. And thanks to Jonathan. Thanks, everybody, for participating. We'll see you next week for the next Back to the Father here on the Guadalupe Radio Network. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us for Back to the Father. And don't forget, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. If you have comments about the show, email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com.